Hi, I'm Hansi Herzog. Welcome to Co-Create and welcome to our today's expert talk with Florian Lamour about the topic of patriarchy. Like always, Florian will introduce himself in a minute to get you on board. We're doing a Facebook Live right now, streaming to our Facebook page, and you have the possibility to participate through the comment section if you have any questions or ideas. And the video will be recorded for later on publishing on YouTube. So also there, we're happy to hear your thoughts and questions to get in contact. So the topic of patriarchy, why we choose it, there are different angles we can look on it, but one thing is through the last month I had very much a lot of conversation with different network leaders and people who are on the topic of collaboration. And this was one topic like patriarchy and the ego and stuff like that, which came up more and more and again as a topic, some which that it is something which is separating us. So I wanted to spotlight on that. Another reason is that after a while I get back in contact with Florian. We know us from some projects before, and he was telling me and inviting me to speak about this topic. So I was very happy, and it really fall together in this situation, especially with another situation what was very personal when I was in contact with women which I haven't been in contact since a while, but were connected through collaboration in the past, and where she called out that I'm a patriarch, and she really made a border there to contact with me, and it was really shocking me, but helping me to realize that it is an important topic where we have to take a look on. And as it's important for me to share honestly, I really wanted to point it out, and I'm happy that Florian is getting in the conversation with us. So enough words for the introduction. You will gain more insights to this topic and learn to reflect about it and what we can do. So I'm happy to introduce or invite Florian to introduce himself. Hi, Florian. Great that you're here. May you introduce yourself and your work in the past to people watching right now.
Yeah. Hello, everybody listening, watching, or hello, Hansi. I'm happy to be here. Just checking in for myself a bit. Nervous, excited, somehow honored. Never was on a public interview in my life. Invited as an, you told call it expert. I never was called an expert for patriarchy or calling myself an expert, but why not for this moment for 1 hour? And let's have this approved for the people if it's relevant for them or not, what we or I say. What am I doing? I'm pioneer in a transformation community, creating and being part of projects that try to change something in the world. Climate crisis, attacking climate crisis, the ecological crisis. So, for example, Extinction Rebellion. I'm coaching projects, organizational development is one part, and I'm realizing more and more that patriarchy is one of the roots, maybe the root for the many or all of the crises we have on the planet or between us, between people. That's why I more and more try to get for myself more patriarchal sensibility and into my projects or the projects that I'm coaching. Yeah, and that's why it's interesting for me as a person, maybe as a man, in my relationships to grow in there and to learn, and also in my work to get transformation forward. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you for introducing yourself. And maybe to get more clarity or to set a border or a setting for our conversation right now. What do you understand under the term of patriarchy? How is it related to like call it egocentric or also masculine power? Yeah, let's help us to understand a little bit what you understand. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the question, because I rarely talk about it from a rational academic level. So what is patriarchy? But yeah, I'll have an answer, but I'm curious myself what kind of answer it will be. I will always take my time with such questions, check in to really see what comes up. And I feel how my nervosity raises. Yeah, patriarchy for me is a system of dominance. A system of dominance we have not chosen. Nobody has chosen explicitly to have patriarchy, and it's the dominance of, from the perspective of the words, it's the dominance of fathers, so of men. So there, it's coming from, and that's a perspective that also works quite good, since it's statistically mostly men that are dominating our world today, or the relationships in which we are in. So from this perspective, this works to define it as a dominance of men. But as far as I'm into it now, I won't separate the gender thing from patriarchy and say it's dominance of people in fear, acting out of this fear or uncertainty or nervosity with, now you may help me with the word, it's like hardness, so Härtefestigkeit, as a difference to softness, to inviting, to openness. Yeah, so patriarchy is a system, a dominant system, not chosen by any one of us, where anxiety, nervosity, in the form of hard, being hard, acting hard, dominating over others, yeah, is bringing a lot of pain and a lot of problems, and maybe all the crises we have on Earth, to us, to the people, and mostly to women, girls, or transsexual people, so diverse gender people.
Thank you for sharing. So what I hear is what was very important is the word of domination. So it's about power and putting pressure on people. What I hear is that the word like patriarchy is connected to a male domination leadership, but might be even more or can be separated from masculine side as well. But right now it's mostly out of this field, and like I think many men in the past have been socialized or have acted is under this pressure system and this dominance. So it's very much connected, let's say like that. So often this pressure, this dominance is coming from men and is affecting women. Yeah, and maybe you would like to share more, because you said like you're not used to take this academic approach of describing a word. So how would you sense or describe or share experiences how to sense this structure or these structures, the systems, the mindset?
Again, I will take some time to sink into myself and to see what comes up authentically from the deepest truth that I have as an answer. Yeah, the first thing that I'd like to say is that everybody suffers from patriarchy. So even the patriarchs, male or female or whatever gender, they suffer too from it. And maybe it's also nourished, their way of acting as patriarchs is also nourished from suffering from it. For example, childhood, when they are stereotyped as, for example, min, to be strong, not to cry, not to be weak, to be successful, and so on and so on. So this is also putting pressure on the children that we have today, and on the, for example, on the boys, and that nourishes or creates patriarchs. So everybody suffers from it. How do I experience it? How do I sense it? Yeah, when I connect to it, to patriarchy in the world, or the patriarchy in me and in you, now there's pain. There's pain. That it happened somehow in the culture of the last 1,000 or 10,000 years, that a part of society got more dominant, or whatever, took violence to dominate others, and it's still here, and that separates us, or we are separated now. So separated in the sense of power. So I and you have more resources to act, to have the life that we want to live, and happy life, or to create the life which we want, than others. It's mostly women, it's mostly children, or it's non-white people, non-European people. So for me, also patriarchy is the top of, or the container for, racism, colonialism, all the isms, adultism, that are there. Yeah, even speciesism, are subtopics or sub phenomena from patriarchy, in my perspective. That's how I sense it. Yeah, in a sense that it wants to be transformed. So it's there. It recreates itself. It wants to sustain itself. So it's a system that wants to stay there. But from my heart, I feel that it wants not to be there like this. That no one, if we were aware of it all, no one wants that. No one wants a separation. No one wants this pain. Nobody wants to be suppressed, and nobody wants to suppress. So, and that's what me and a lot of other people try to bring forward, so that, for example, patriarchy and patriarchs come into self-realization, self-awareness. So that's the answer that comes out of me if you ask me such a question right now.
Thank you for sensing always what's present for you right now. I think you bring in a very good quality. And yeah, what I just feel about it's really what you describe as this wheel of the continue. Like there have been patriarch in the past, or this pressure power systems which create again patriarchs and people who give these power systems further. And it's really like those who are affected by it or suffers because they are forced to be like that, recreating this. It's really like I have this as a picture in me, like this all over wheel we recreate. And the question how we can break or change this wheel. It might be maybe a good questions for later. So what we can do next. But for now, I would like to even more get an idea. Or to relate it to the role of change makers, because as you know from the context what I'm doing, it's about changing the world, changing our society, changing our mindsets, creating positive visions. And we are, I think, in our field, a lot of very reflected people, and still these topics of power, of ego, of patriarchism is still there. So, and as I know you, you're also active in this field of change makers. So what are your experiences, or how do you see the field right now, and the still need of transformation within our communities.
At first, it's a bit independent from the question, but first I want to name that it's mostly, maybe completely, women that brought me to the awareness that I have today about patriarchy. So feeling that I'm thankful for friends like Jana or Miki Kashtan, maybe you know her. It's the first thing I want to name, that a lot of my knowledge and awareness comes from women, or women and more and more men mirroring me when I act as a patriarch. So that's the first thing. And the field of change makers. Yeah, it's interesting that despite all the new ways of doing things together, like co-creation, finding decisions together, so collective decision making, systemic consenting, for example, or consensus decisions in sociocracy, holacracy. They are structural steps towards more participation and even more equity between people. So it's also lowering the gap a little bit, the separation a bit. But still, patriarchy or implicit hierarchies as a field of knowledge or experience needs to be brought in actively and consciously, as to make people aware that even if there are maybe 10 people sitting around in a circle trying to really bring everybody in. So there are 3 men, 3 women, and the rest is diverse gender. Even if it looks like that everybody's equal in this circle, when the circle of people in there are not aware that the presence of patriarchs in it, and maybe it's mostly the men that bring this energy in, this dominance, this, while the room is empty, we speak a lot more than the others, for example. Or if there is chaos and they are frightened that something important of them is going away, then they take the lead. They take it. They don't ask for it. They take it, and they start to be dominant without having chosen it from awareness. But it's what that's their default strategy that they use, or that I use too, when it goes narrow and when something important of me is in danger. So the community of change makers has to take this topic as a topic and talk about it. There is patriarchy, there's implicit hierarchy in groups, and bring it in as a topic and reflect on it, and who in our group, even if we have no explicit hierarchies, there is implicit hierarchies, and who's on which level, who's where, and do we want to how do we want to be with it, or how do we want to deal with it. But start with, how does it feel to have an implicit hierarchy in a group or a community that doesn't like hierarchies not that much, maybe competence hierarchies, but any other kind of hierarchies they don't like, but it's there, and it's called patriarchy.
And I think, it's so important to be aware and to be clear on that it is there. And if you try to hide, it is still there, and it can be even more harming, because if you know it is there, you can at least be reflective on it and look critical and take on processes to change this. But if you're not aware, because we think we are so good as already, or we have already structures in place, and there is no such a thing, we can really be blind spotted on that. And I think that was an important topic for me to bring this up, because I saw it for myself. I saw it in other projects that even if not only the topic, not only the structures within are based on collaboration, but even projects who have collaboration or co-creation in their heart or their topic or their name, it is still a topic where we have to look on. And yeah, I think we need more people there to be honest also about that. Being honest to see in themselves if they act like Patrick, and also to be honest and and brave to face this. So people who give a mirror to other people, and it was very good, and yeah. I was really grateful about that. You came up with me to me to speak about this topic because it challenged me. At first, I was a little bit like, okay, I don't have as much time. Maybe it's not that important. But as I told you, and at the beginning, I mentioned I had this situation where an old friend of mine called me a Patrick because, and I can clearly see where it's coming from because it was, of course, of the purpose of doing something good, but all the time I was taking energy from her without giving back. And what I say was for good is like I was taking energy for putting it into a project. It was not really for me, but still it was more taking without appreciation. And when she called it out to me, it was hard at first, but then I was really grateful that I got this mirror. And I think it's very important that there are people out there who speak out honestly about this topic. So what do you think? Do you have any experiences you can share or any advice how we can spot these hidden mindsets, hidden behaviors, how we can communicate it, how we can be mirror, how we can be honest about it to ourselves, also to others?
Yeah, important question. Thank you. Oh, not that easy to say. We start with how we can notice that patriarchy is in action, that it does something in a situation. How I can see patriarchy acting. One observation may be that repeatedly the same circle of persons or the same person takes a room, speaks, and say or brings most of proposals in how things may work. It's a super hard question. From those who are who suffer from patriarchy, it's and since I'm not often in this position, it's not easy to speak from that side. But I guess it's being not noticed, being not considered, being not understood, being not heard. Although I'd like to bring you in, I'd like to say something. Being interrupted, although I don't have an explicit role to interrupt you. So if I'm the official facilitator in a group, maybe it's I can understand that or you can understand that I interrupt you, and hopefully explain why I interrupt you. But if it's other people that have not explicit roles that interrupt you regularly and bring in their story, although you don't interrupt them, so it's not a common culture. Interrupting is fun. It just happens, so maybe patriarch is acting there. Yeah, patriarch is taking room. How can we observe it? It's also acting in a sense of speed, since patriarchs have more outer and inner resources. They often are able to to connect faster to their needs and do something for that easily. And others who are not patriarchs, since they are trained to serve patriarchs, they're trained to see the needs of patriarchs. They're challenged to connect to their needs. And so in a group that seems to be equal, people that are close to patriarchy have it's a lot easier to them to connect to their needs and to express them and to do something about it, as for people that are far away from patriarchy or suffer from patriarchy. They are slower in any kind of any kind of way, or many kinds of way. Slow, not in the sense of it's there's less creativity, or they're not effective. They're only standing close to a patriarch, and if it's about bringing all the needs to the table and seeing them and seeing how can we integrate them to something that works for both or for the whole group, then there needs to be room that really everybody can connect to the needs and in the way and the time they need to. So, and slowness is now a value that perhaps many of us, that's one advice I can also give. Be as slow as possible. Not as slow as possible in the sense of even if something dangerous happens, stay being slow. But if you can be slower, then be slower, because then the probability increases that everybody in the group can connect to their needs. And if you are slow, you maybe have the time to see really every interconnection. What I want to say is that when you ask a group of patriarchs for a solution and another group of non-patriarchs for a solution, the quality of solution of non-patriarchs will be better statistically. Patriarchs may come faster with a solution, but the solution of non-patriarchs will be more interconnected and fit more, will meet more needs than the others. And so the slowness is not a bad thing. It's even a quality thing. Yeah. But when it comes to how can I notice patriarchy, or what can I do, be slow as a group or be slow as a person. And that's why I try also as a patriarch to be slow in the conversation with you now, Hansi. To most probably not go into patterns of patriarchy happening in me, but into really being connected with myself, my feelings, and what's important to us two and to the world that may be following us now. So I don't feel happy about my answer until right now. I guess there's more, but I will hear words in between.
Thank you for sharing, and will always be time to add to our conversation. No problem, no pressure on that. I really appreciate what you said about going slow, because this is something which affects me quite often and therefore affects people which I deal with. It's like the pressure I have in myself. So I feel quite a lot of pressure. There's like so much energy and so much need for going fast that I
Mm.
put myself and other people quite a lot under pressure. And when you say like, I think on circles where people speak, of course, those people who have more pressure or a louder voice or are quicker in speaking, they will be here more often. And when I'm looking back, there have been quite many situations where I just, because I had this pressure in myself, I put this pressure into a conversation, therefore into a group, also for processes where I just made my voice loud because I can do it, and have this pressure in me. And often was not the best way,
Mm.
and yeah, I think that's something at all we have to learn as society to slow down a little bit, to also come more from the head space into the heart space, the emotional space, because I think to sense and to feel things take a little bit more time, take a little bit more awareness. The brain, we can go very easily quite far and fast, but often the substance is missing then.
Mm.
Um, and I think, yeah, to make these connections between people and to make better decisions, we need this slowing down, and therefore we have to take out this pressure, which often comes with um, uh, which often I think people in power positions or who push themselves into power positions or who act as patriarchs often have this pressure in themselves. Also, this um, pressure of expression. So the thing that we want to speak because we want to be heard, and we think that it's important what we have to say, and there are other people who might not believe that it's important what they have to say. And I think that's what you said before, like there are people slower because they're not so much connected to their ego that they think that it's very important what they have to say, so they don't put as much pressure in it.
Mm.
And to bring in more balance in this kind of conversation would be very important.
Mm. Yeah, I might go on. Or you have another question?
No, it's fine.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, I'm realizing that it's a complex field, and when I was speaking, just came to A, B, C, D. Yeah, why not? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. How to notice that patriarchy is acting if you don't feel connected, probably patriarchy is there. So either as a patriarch you're not connected, you don't feel yourself, you're doing things, yeah, you're doing things and going forward, but are you really there? Are you connected? Do you feel yourself? Are you even able to feel yourself? So I guess patriarchy is there when there's a lack of empathy, and where the lack or dominance of the rational part, as you said it, and emotional parts, intuitive parts, spiritual parts are not that present. So rationality is, I guess, also strongly associated with patriarchy. And for non-patriarchs, if you're not connected to your needs, you're most probably connected to the needs of others and their emotions. So you can check: am I in me or am I with others? And if you're stronger with others, patriarchy is happening, maybe from the others, maybe from patriarchs in the room, or from the patriarchy side in you, because non-patriarchs also have patriarchy installed in them, but from another, from the other perspective. serving patriarchs, serving patriarchy. So checking for self-connection or realizing to be disconnected, maybe that patriarchy is acting right now or present. Patriarchs often also speak for a group or for a community or for just another in place of another person without asking this person. So they speak for a group as we decided, or we see it like that and that, but they didn't check if it's really the perspective of the group, so of everyone. So if you hear something like for our group is missing, or it's important for us too, and you're part of this group and you say, it's not my perspective, then probably patriarchy is happening. For me as a patriarch, also one alarm sign is being in euphoric. So I'm super excited, something's really happy, and then separation, disconnection from myself starts, and there's a higher probability that I act as a patriarch in this state. What was surprising to me, because euphoria's for me associated with something good, something nice to have, nice to feel, but I also observed disconnection in this. Yeah. What can we do? What can we do? Just 2 sentences maybe. For patriarchs is to realize themselves as patriarchs and to look into it and look into it and look into it and to learn and to invite people to feedback and reflect them and to create spaces of trust so that people are really feel safe and full of trust that you don't do anything bad to them when they reflect to you, when they tell you the truth. So if you're boss of the company, they have to experience that you really mean it, inviting real feedback without what is it, feuern? Without bringing them out of the company.
Yeah, kick out of the company.
Kick them out. So there's a lot of trust building to do if you are in a real power position. For non-patriarchs, since I'm not in a non-patriarch position, I'm in a patriarch position, I'm really careful. I don't want to speak for non-patriarchs if I'm not a non-patriarch. I guess it's connecting with other non-patriarchs first, and getting the resources to get in cooperation with patriarchs you trust, and to show to getting the resources to be brave to tell us that it's not that it's dangerous what we do, that it's painful what we do, that it creates XYZ, and start stopping us. Start stopping us acting as patriarchs in this world. However we do that. And one strategy is to stop collaboration with us, or even stop being in contact with us. So for me, for example, these strategies were wake-up moments for me, when people stopped collaboration or even contact. Yeah. Now I'm connected to the pain and my sadness, having experienced something like that. But yeah, it worked. Back to you, Hansi.
Thank you for sharing. And it really caught me when you said you as patriarch, or you said I as a patriarch. So this clearness to say this about yourself, to show up in this role. Also, for the social media text of this video I wrote, I'm a patriarch and probably you are too. And it was really hard for me to write it like that, or write it as clear. And so I would like to ask yourself, I would like to ask you, how does it feel for you to point it out so clear, to give your its own label in a positive, but maybe also in a negative side? So, and how did you came to saying it as clear, I'm a patriarch? And might it change in the future?
Nice question. Thank you. It hurts. So directly connected to the pain of knowing that patriarchy is out there and causing so much damage, pain, nourishing crises, and I'm a part of that. Maybe I'm not a conscious part of consciously creating crisis, but in the changemaker community, I'm also one part that slowers the potential, since my way of acting is also suppressing people, at least in some moments when I'm not that aware as I am maybe now. So I want to name patriarchy in the society, and as if I'm part, as I'm part from patriarchy, I'm a patriarch. I need to name who I am in this game or in this complex situation. So I'm serving for clarity in this towards myself and towards everybody, and also it brings the topic on the table right away. So people ask me, what do you mean when calling yourself a patriarch? And I can be in contact with them. How does it feel? It feels right. And it's a label where I am in the group of patriarchs, as all of the people in the group of patriarchs. But it's not a judgment, since no patriarch has decided to become one. And I'm also, once again, connected to pain and sadness. As the non-patriarchs didn't decide to be in their situation, we didn't decide to be on this side. But still, we are more resourced, we are more in power. It's easier for us to live the life that we want. So it's not the same. We're not on the same side. So it's not a judgment. It serves clarity and makes me able to speak about it. It's even some kind of activism, if you want to. If I show up as a patriarch, I point at or name patriarchy as the dominating system in this world today. And if it changes in the future, I guess not in my life, not in this life. Maybe there's more. I don't know. But it's a thing of generations, I guess. Nothing I can change. I would be happy to, but I guess it's a thing of generations. Yeah.
Thank you for this clarity. Honestly, it really inspires me. Really like brings me to the point to say, I'm Hansi Herzog and I'm a patriarch. I may change in future, but I have acted quite often as patriarch. And if you watching this and you have ever affected by my acting, I'm apologize for myself. And if not by my acting, but chances big that you have been affected by another patriarch, or even you are patriarch by yourself. And really glad that we make this conversation right now, because I think it's really a huge topic, and I pressed it in my past, I think, because of course, if you're a patriarch, you normally don't want to look there to see how your acting is affecting other people. Because, we don't want to think better of ourselves. But I think it's very important to look at things to be able to change them. I'm really curious about, and I'm happy if we check in another time in future to see and reflect on the way of realizing and changing and being aware of it. What does change in your own life? I'm quite sure that it's easy enough for myself to spot in future when I'm acting like this or when somebody else is acting like that. I'm really curious about experience this in future, have this more awareness. Because if you're aware about the topic, it pops up more to your mind. And at this point, I would like to reach out again also to the people watching right now, because as you know, it's Facebook Live, so you have the chance of using the comment function below to share your thoughts or questions. So if there is anything you would like to share or anything you would like to ask now, would be the perfect fit. I'm always happy if you as well show up and share with us. And maybe there is coming something, maybe not. Anyway, I'm just curious if there's anything else from your side, Florian, coming up to the topic, especially in the look into the future of what we can change, what we can do as people who are patriarchs, as people who are affected, and as change makers by changing our systems.
Yeah, as low as no question or comment from outside, from the audience comes, I'll answer to that. The best strategy that I have today for doing something about it is to be with it rather than doing something about it. So feeling what it's doing to you, what it's doing to others, being in contact with these emotions, trying to understand what the life situations of the suppressed people, or maybe all the forms of life we have that are suppressed by patriarchy today, to really get into their shoes. To get into their shoes means having an empathic position. How does it feel to be a woman today, to be a colored person today, to be a child today in that situation, to be not in Europe but in southern parts of the world, or all that together? How does it feel not to have a voice in groups, even if everybody says everybody has a voice? Be with this situation. And there's so much sadness, so much pain, so much suffering. It's too huge for one person. But you get an idea what's going on, and this will bring you more and more in a position of awareness of how to do things or not to do things in the future. So stop to more and more stop acting like a patriarch in your way of doing things, and more replace it by something new you will discover. Yeah, connected to the pain and suffering again. Intense. Thank you, Hansi, for this intense conversation. That's my message. Be with it rather than doing something about it. And if it's about doing something, then it's stand together with those who suffer from patriarchy today. Listen to them, be their voice, ask them beforehand. Don't do it because you think you need it. Then you're acting as patriarch again. Think you know what's better for others without being connected to it. But resource them, nourish them. Use your privilege as a patriarch. Use your power for your needs, for their needs. Yeah, that's what comes out as an answer.
Thank you for sharing. And oh wow, yeah, this thing of first being, not directly jump to acting, has a lot of power for me because as a very rational person, I always try to be effective and to act. And yeah, for me, it's just quite hard or intense to make such a conversation, live streaming, just to have a conversation about and sharing and not going into solution or don't you, especially like this social media influencer thing, where we are trained to be as perfect, and if you're not perfect, we don't show up. To show up and in this conversation being not perfect, sharing about our thoughts and feelings. Um, and I'm really grateful about, we have a comment here from Melanie where she's sharing that she's very touched that she is a woman, is very touched that we feel and speak as men about this topic. And I'm very grateful, Melanie, that you point this out. Thank you. For me, during our conversation, at one point it felt quite awkward, like two men speaking about being patriarchs and no women are hearing this conversation. But yeah, it is like it is right now. And very touching was also for me when we had our first conversation and I was sharing about this experience where I was named a patriarch. That you really pointed out this, that we are not only the actors, but we are also affected by patriarchy. So I haven't chose to be a patriarch and put pressure onto people and put pressure on myself. And it was really like, yeah, that was hard to take first because if you are putting pressure on, or if I know that I put pressure on other people and I harm them, then it's hard to give myself self love and self appreciation. And yeah, I think that that also has to sink in myself. And yeah, this thing to divide between somebody who's doing harm and so his action team as a person, to divide this, because like you said before, it's like a system and the system made us to be patriarchs and now we're acting out of it. Doesn't mean that we are a bad person, but it's deep in us. Yes.
And I can say to you that you're more effective if you be with it, if you are with it, rather than doing something about it. So if your goal is also effectiveness, then this strategy works, in my experience, too. You will be more effective when first being with it and afterwards doing something about it.
I think it's more sustainable, or because if you jump directly into action to do something about it, it's more like reaction. That's something I know from myself quite well, that I'm acting, but out of action. And then I'm again not really connected to the issue or the reason why I'm acting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's slowly a good point to coming to an end. I'm asking again if you're watching right now, your last chance to share any comments, any questions, and also for you, Florian, I would like to invite you for any last thoughts you would like to share. Also, you can ask questions to the audience or speak out a recommendation, anything you would like to share.
I'd like to thank you, Hansi, that you as a patriarch too start to look on this topic for yourself, but bring it in the same way into public right now. So hopefully other patriarchs are inspired to deal with that, to also make new experiences, to see themselves as patriarchs and get more and more into self-awareness, and also maybe resources people suffering from patriarchy. In what way, I don't know, but thank you for doing this. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Flora, for this appreciation. And also thank you for your time. Thank you for you initialized reaching out to me to speak about this topic and that you took your time then. We had a couple of conversations before we jumped into live stream. Thank you. Thank you for your own honesty to this topic, because otherwise I wouldn't be here now to make the conversation if I would have you as a mirror as well. And yeah, thank you to the audience who participating in this conversation as well. So Melanie was just sharing that even her is a part of Patrick, and she feels this pressure. And it's good to hear that it's not like we don't just have to define it on this feminine masculine thing, but it's really in all of us because we are all affected by the system. Thank you. And also, Alex, thank you for your sharing about responding and reaction. So it was inviting to learn the skill of responding instead of being reactive.
Mm.
So yeah, we are ending this video, but of course, through the internet, the possibility to have another conversation through the comments is going on. So please feel free to share. And I also want to share now again, didn't work before, the link to a network where Florian is part of, so you can find him there. And yeah, for now, we are closing this conversation. I'm saying again, thank you, Florian, for joining in. Thank you for watching this video. And as I said, maybe in the beginning or at other videos, this is the last interview for now. I started the beginning of this year with very high intensity and speed, bringing me to a point where, yeah, I'm at the limit right now where I say I don't feel joy anymore to race on with this speed, and it will focus my work on other parts of co-create. Maybe there will be another video in the future. I just want to take out the pressure, and the pressure is definitely coming from an egocentric part as well, as I want to show myself and do something. So I'm slowing down to get better recovery for myself, and therefore hopefully acting less patriarchy, because I'm more relaxed and slowed down. So again, thank you, and yeah, let's work together to build a better world. We always co-create our vision is to unite the world community so we're able to co-create a good life for all. And to reach this, we have to transform our ways of thinking and acting. And therefore, I was very happy to have this conversation with you today, Florian. Thank you, and bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Thank you, Hansi, for this invitation. Bye.